Hey, it's Bitty Penny. Welcome back to my channel. You guys, today I am starting a crafty adventure for myself and I'm sharing with you all. I want to do a little more stitching in particularly like my junk journal projects, but I want to do it on cards too. So I'm making a bunny journal for a friend, and I grabbed this stamp because I just think it's so lovely. And I have this muslin fabric, so I'm just going to kind of not really measure anything, but just put the stamp on the muslin fabric and tear it out to make it a manageable piece to work with. I really like stamping on muslin and then painting on muslin. You can also prime it with like a clear gesso. That's an option as well. I'm going to use VersaFine Onyx Black ink to stamp mine on. You could use just about anything. I will suggest that you stamp, if you're going to do this, that you stamp on like a foam pad or something, just so that you can make sure you're getting a good impression on your fabric. That's always important. And when you're dealing with like clear stamps, it's even more important. I find red rubber is, you don't really have to worry about it. But for clear photopolymer stamps, that piece of foam that I'm using makes all the difference. So I grabbed a few colors of embossing thread, and also I've got a little tool here that just helps me thread through the eye of the needle, which I'm deeming it's named. It's Captain Hook. So that little blue tool there is my Captain Hook. And then I am going to do partial embroidery here. And I think I said embossing, but I really meant embroidery. Floss is what I'm using, obviously. Get it together, Bitty Penny. Okay, so you guys, I am a beginner. I have no idea what I'm doing. In fact, I was sitting here stitching this little bunny together going, okay, great. I don't really know very many stitches. This isn't the time to learn them necessarily. And what do people talk about? Because I don't even watch embroidery videos. So I don't know if you're clicking on this for the first time because you like embroidery and then you're like, what? Yeah, exactly. I have no idea what I'm talking about. So welcome. I'm a paper crafter and just giving this a whirl, but I have a plan. See, I don't know. I'm just back stitching or something. Simple stitching is what we'll call it. This brown outline around this bunny. Okay, so that's what I'm doing right now. Now let's just talk about what I'm going to do next. I think what I'm going to do is do simple projects like this for my junk journals. I really like to have something special on the cover of my junk journals. I love embroidery. The first time I did it in a very long time, and I did it when I was a kid, and I definitely had no idea what I was doing then. But the skull I did, the sugar skull I did on my Day of the Dead journal, that's what really got me back into it. And then I did some stitching on a card and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do more of this in 2024. So here we are. But I have a plan. I'm going to learn stitches by making trim. So my idea is I'll do projects like this where like I stamp something out and maybe do simple stitching around it. And then I want to do cards with the Spellbinder stitching die. So I've got those two plans. But then my third plan is that I make myself trim. I love trim. I absolutely love trim in my journals. And so I think I want to make trim, and that way by making the trim, I can learn stitches because I'll be doing them repetitively to do like, some of my trim I'll do, 5 inches wide. Some of it will be 8.5 long. And that way I can put it along pages in my journals. I can do smaller pieces of trim that can go on ephemera. And I just think that is like a really wise way to learn stitches. And then when I do my focal points for my journals, like how I'm doing this little bunny, I'll have more of a vocabulary of stitching, right now my vocabulary is like childish. It's pathetic. I think I know the back stitch, the French knot, maybe there's a straight stitch. I mean, very little. But I will learn more if I'm making trim, I think. And then so I'm planning on making the trim to teach myself. I have a couple of books, which I've shown y'all. In case you missed it, I did a haul at the end of the year showing you all the things I bought before I started my spending freeze. Yes. And a couple of those things were stitching books. But yeah, I think it's going to be fun to learn on trim, and then I'll have trim, and I love trim. So that's the plan. I am going to learn some stitches, y'all, and maybe you'll come along with me. I figure if nothing else, this video provides comedic relief for those who know so much more. And then for those who know absolutely nothing like me, I just say, let's dive in deep. Don't be afraid. The water's fine. We can just figure it out. And even if we goof up and are making stuff up like I did with the bunny ears, you know, it's okay. It's fun. And I actually love my finished piece. I don't think it's perfect. And, you know, I think I could just say it, and I don't have to say it because I think you guys pretty much know me by now. But you know, don't expect like a purist approach. I really don't care about a purist approach. Like I may add watercolor, gouache, acrylic paints. Who knows what I'll do to this fabric as I go on this journey. I definitely want to use a lot of scrap fabric, and I want to make like scenes with scrap fabric and embroidery and, you know, just really mix some things up. Drive some people crazy. Why not? I will tell you, because like as I was stitching this bunny, I was thinking like, oh, I had heard one time that the sign of a good, I don't even know what you call them, but people who do embroidery, let's just say that when they're really good at doing embroidery, the back of their panels is all clean and beautiful and perfect. Mine is bonkers. And it's fine. I just didn't want to tie off a bunch, to be honest. I was being a lazy crafter. And so when I did the eyes, which are both obviously the same color, then I just took my floss across and did the other eye. I didn't like tie it off and go start a new piece of floss for the second eye. You know what I mean? And the same thing is what I did with the white in the eyes. I put a little gleam in his eye, or her eye. And then I did the same thing with like the pink and the ears, which I'll get to eventually. I kept getting my floss all tied up in the back, like knotted up in the back. I don't know what causes that. I'm like, well, how did I bring this onto myself? I don't even know. I'm doing it repeatedly, so I'm obviously doing something wrong more than once. I don't know what that wrong thing is. But I caught it and I fixed it every time, and everything's fine. Everything's fine. I mean, really, I enjoyed being humbled by this project. I enjoyed the calamity of this project. I enjoyed the process, and I enjoyed the outcome. Is that not what crafting is for? I mean, I was even providing myself comedic therapy along with thinking that I might provide that for you. We can all have a laugh. It's okay. At my expense, that's fine. I'm okay. I'm a big girl. I can handle it. So anyways, I am going to keep stitching. Like, just don't give up. I'll tell you, anytime I'm trying something new, there's definitely a quitter in me. And I keep squashing that quitter harder and harder with my foot, you know, just squash it. Because one thing card making taught me was that you just keep going. And I think that all art forms, because I've tried so many, I think all art forms, you have that awkward space where things just might not be going the way you want them. You know what I mean? Or you think, have I reached a point of no return? So here, for instance, see the rabbit with just the eyes and the outline. I actually thought, okay, Betty Penny, if you leave it right there, it's cool. Like, it looks good. It's fine. You could leave it right here. Or you could keep going and really mess it up. So does anybody else have that inner voice? It's kicking. I've got that inner voice, you know. But from card making and junk journaling, I've learned to keep going. I think card making taught me that most mistakes can be fixed. Like, you can find a way to fix most mistakes in card making. And I think junk journaling taught me that layers, like just keep going. But definitely both of those art forms have taught me not to give up and that you hit uncomfortable spots. I cannot tell you guys how many times I've had comments on my channel where people were like, I didn't know where you were going with this. I really wasn't behind you or feeling it at a certain part in the video, but then I loved how you finished. And I think that speaks to the truth that art always has these awkward moments. So let's talk about the whiskers here. I'm fine with the whiskers. The whiskers are fine, but I wish I would have used fewer strands of thread and not made them so prominent. I wish the whiskers were a little softer. I just used them full force. This is all systems go, all 6 strands. And I wish I would have maybe used like 3 strands and they wouldn't be so strong. There's very like, I don't know. I look at this bunny and I just think of Charlie Chaplin. He's got some strong whiskers. That's all I can say. And then I had very few, I have very few pastel pieces of floss, like embroidery floss. So, you know, I'm on a spending freeze for 3 months. So I just have to make it work. And all of my floss that I have is I have a rainbow, but it's just a very vivid, bright rainbow. And I tend to work in more muted or, I'm trying to think of the word, muted colors like pastels and stuff, or I work in really like rich, colors, and I can't think of the color type right now, of course, because I'm doing a voiceover, but you know, like emerald green, maroon, and then like modern colors. I like teal and mint, and so those are the colors I'll be collecting at the end of my spending freeze. I will be diversifying my embroidery floss so that I have more of a variety of colors. All right, so I turned the bunny into Charlie Chaplin, and then I was like, all right, well, we need a little balance here. So I did the ears, and I filled the ears in with the pink that I had, the white and brown. And then there was no way I was going to try to stitch all those flowers, so I cheated, and I grabbed that purple flower from my stash, which is just like an embroidery patch of sorts. And then I did stitch some very simple greenery to fill in around the flower. I'm so glad I did that because here's the thing. I just have to pull off a finished look. The person and the people who get the journals that I put this embroidery on, they're not going to care about the process. At least I don't think so. They're also not going to care about if I followed any rules. And I know I feel better not following rules. So for me, having that flower in my stash was a total win because I just want something in the end that looks halfway decent. I think here today I was going for the level of, oh, maybe she found this in a thrift store or something. I know she shops in thrift stores. Yeah, let's go with that. I didn't make that. No, I can own it. I can totally own it. But yeah, like, kitsch artwork is fine with me. I love folk artwork and kitschy stuff. So this is very like kitsch and perfect for this journal that I'm making. And again, I think it all came together fine. I was really holding back and restraining myself because I really wanted to paint the bunny. I wanted to mix up an acrylic paint that matched the embroidery floss, the brown, and kind of paint up the bunny. And then I thought about on the bunny's chest putting like a white patch on it, but then I was like so afraid it was going to be like a Chaplin Santa Claus bunny if I did that. See the back? She's crazy. She's crazy, just like me. The fabric pulled. I have a bamboo hoop, you guys. I also have a plastic hoop. I couldn't find either one. So I had to just wrangle this thing without a hoop. So I think it's like puckered in places. She's so imperfect. And this is probably going to make some people cringe. I'm just going to start ripping the fabric after I've already completed all this embroidery to not cut, but tear this down to size. It made me a little nervous, but then I was also like, look, this isn't a masterpiece, so just do it. And I wanted to see more of the paper. I love the colors and how it worked with the colors of my collaged cover of this journal. So I'm just going to show you here how I'm actually using the piece. I think it's fun to make things that we can use. And so that's what I'm going to do. I have been trying to use this bird piece of paper for like 2 weeks. And finally, I'm going to get to use it. It was in my scraps because I was trying to use it for my sheet load of cards and it just didn't work out. And then it's been out and on top of my scrap bin, and I've been trying to use it in every project since. Well, I finally found where to put it. It's going behind the bunny. I stitched my bunny on with my sewing machine, and then I'm just going to glue it down. I made sure to tie everything off in the back really well, but I knew all the while that it would either be glued or stitched onto my journal cover. I have a full video for how I made this bunny journal. That'll be coming out too. But I've been wanting to make embroidery. I've been wanting to focus on embroidery. It's going to be like once a month. So let's just say this is my January video for you guys on embroidery. The next thing, I'm going to be working on trims. So grab some floss and join me. We're going to have some fun. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.